Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, and here with me is the amazing Julia. How are you today, Julia?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing great. Thank you. And hello to all our listeners. I'm so excited about today's topic because it's something that can really change the way you speak English.
Absolutely. Today, we're talking about thinking in English and how it can improve your speaking. Many learners struggle with speaking fluently because they first translate from their native language.
Yes, that's very common. When we think in our own language and then try to translate, it can slow us down and make speaking feel unnatural. But if you start thinking directly in English, your speaking becomes faster, smoother, and more confident.
Exactly. And the good news is, it's something anyone can practice every day, even if you don't have a speaking partner.
That's right, Jason. Throughout this episode, we'll give you practical tips, examples, and exercises to help you start thinking in English naturally. By the end, you'll know exactly what steps to take to improve your speaking.
So, if you're ready to think in English and speak more confidently, stay tuned because we're diving right in. So, Julia, one big reason many learners struggle with speaking English is that they translate everything in their mind first.
Yes, Jason. It's very common. For example, you might want to say, "I'm hungry," but your mind first thinks in your own language, and then you try to translate. That takes time and can make you feel stuck.
Exactly. And sometimes you end up using the wrong words or grammar because you were trying to translate word by word. It's like your brain is working twice as hard.
I know, Jason. I've seen this happen with so many learners. They know the words, but when it's time to speak, the translation slows them down.
And the reason we do this is simple. Our brain is used to thinking in our native language, so it's automatic. English becomes foreign, and we feel we need to translate to understand it.
Right. But don't worry, Jason. The good news is that we can train our brain to think directly in English. And when we do, speaking becomes much easier and faster.
Absolutely. And in the next part, we're going to talk about the benefits of thinking in English and why it's such a game changer for improving your speaking. All right, Julia, now that we know why translating in our mind can slow us down, let's talk about the benefits of thinking directly in English.
Yes, Jason. First, when you think in English, your speaking becomes faster and more natural. You don't have to pause to translate every word. Your brain just flows with English.
Exactly. And another benefit is that it boosts your confidence. When you're not translating, you feel more comfortable speaking in real conversations.
That's right. Plus, thinking in English improves your understanding of how sentences are formed. You start to notice patterns in grammar and phrases naturally, without memorizing rules.
Yes, Julia. And here's another one. Thinking in English helps you remember vocabulary better. When a word comes to your mind automatically, you can use it quickly in speech.
Absolutely. And the best part is, these benefits apply to everyday situations, whether you're ordering food, talking with friends, or even thinking about your daily routine in English.
Exactly. So, by thinking in English regularly, you're not just practicing speaking, you're training your brain to speak fluently and confidently.
Yes, Jason. And in the next segment, we'll talk about how to start small and begin thinking in English in simple daily situations.
All right, Julia. We've talked about why translating slows us down and the benefits of thinking in English. But many learners ask, how do I actually start thinking in English?
That's a great question, Jason. The best way to start is small and simple. You don't need to speak perfectly right away. Start by thinking in English about easy, everyday things.
Exactly. For example, when you're getting dressed, you can say in your mind, I'm putting on my shirt. I'm wearing blue pants today. It's simple, but it trains your brain to think in English.
Yes, or when you're eating breakfast, you can describe what you're doing. I am eating toast. I am drinking tea. This is delicious. Small steps like these make a huge difference over time.
Another tip is to name the objects around you in English. Look at your phone, your bag, your notebook. Think, this is my phone. This is my bag. It's an easy way to practice every day.
Absolutely. And the key is consistency. Even a few minutes every day can help your brain get used to thinking in English naturally.
Exactly, Julia. Start small, keep it simple, and gradually, your brain will automatically think in English without translating.
And in the next segment, we'll talk about how to use common phrases and words in your thoughts, which will make thinking in English even easier.
All right, Julia. Now that we've started thinking in English in simple situations, let's talk about how using common phrases and words can make it even easier.
Yes, Jason. Instead of trying to create new sentences from scratch every time, you can use simple phrases you already know in your thoughts. It makes thinking in English much faster.
Exactly. For example, phrases like, good morning, I like this, I don't understand, or what time is it, are simple but very useful. You can practice them in your mind throughout the day.
Yes, and you can even combine these phrases to make short sentences. For example, I like this coffee. It's very good. Or I don't understand this question. I need help.
Another tip is to repeat phrases silently in your mind when doing your daily tasks. Over time, these phrases will come to your mind automatically, so you won't need to translate.
Exactly. And don't worry if it feels slow at first. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Your brain starts thinking in English without effort.
Yes, Julia. And in the next segment, we'll discuss how to imagine conversations in English, which will help you practice speaking even without a real partner. All right, Julia. Now that our listeners know how to start thinking in English with phrases and daily activities, let's talk about a fun and very effective technique: imagining conversations in English.
Yes, Jason. Even if you don't have a speaking partner, you can practice imaginary conversations in your mind. It's like rehearsing real-life situations.
Exactly. For example, imagine you're ordering food at a restaurant. You can think, hello, I would like a sandwich, please. Thank you. Say it silently or even out loud.
Or imagine talking to a friend about your day. You can think, hi, how are you? I had a busy day today. What about you? This helps you practice forming sentences naturally.
The great thing is, the more you do this, the more your brain gets used to thinking in English during real conversations, so you feel confident and fluent when speaking with others.
Exactly, Jason. And if you want, you can even role-play both sides of the conversation. One side asks a question, and the other side answers. It's a powerful way to practice speaking without anyone around.
Absolutely. And in the next segment, we'll talk about speaking out loud after thinking, which is the final step to connect your thoughts to real speech. All right, Julia, now that we've imagined conversations in English, the next step is to speak out loud. Thinking in English is great, but we also need to turn thoughts into spoken words.
Exactly, Jason. Speaking out loud helps your mouth and brain work together. It's one thing to think a sentence, but when you say it, your brain and mouth learn the rhythm and flow of English.
Yes. For example, if you've been thinking, I am eating breakfast, try saying it out loud slowly. Then gradually speed it up as you get more comfortable.
And don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to practice connecting thoughts to speech, not perfection. Mistakes are part of learning.
Another tip is to record yourself. Speak out loud. Listen to your voice, and notice areas to improve. Over time, this builds confidence and makes speaking in real conversations easier.
Absolutely. So think in English first, then speak it out loud, and soon it will become natural to express your thoughts in English without translating.
Exactly. And in the next segment, we'll discuss how to avoid translating word by word, which is key to speaking naturally and fluently. All right, Julia, now that our listeners are thinking in English and speaking out loud, there's one common mistake we need to talk about: translating word by word.
Yes, Jason. Many learners try to translate every word from their native language into English. For example, saying, "I very like this food," instead of "I really like this food." Translating word by word can make your sentences sound unnatural.
Exactly. When you translate directly, your brain is slow and your speaking sounds awkward. Instead, it's better to think in ideas or whole sentences.
Right. For example, instead of thinking "I am very happy because I passed the exam word by word," just think "I passed my exam. I'm so happy." It's shorter, natural, and easy to say.
Another tip is to learn common sentence patterns and practice them in your mind. This way, your brain automatically forms sentences in English without translating.
Exactly. The more you practice thinking in English naturally, the less you'll rely on word-by-word translation, and your speaking will sound fluent and smooth.
Yes, Julia. And in the next segment, we'll talk about a daily practice routine to help our listeners make thinking in English a habit. All right, Julia, now that our listeners know how to think in English naturally, it's time to talk about a daily practice routine. Consistency is the key to improvement.
Yes, Jason. Even just a few minutes every day can make a huge difference. You don't need hours, but you do need a habit.
For example, you can spend 5 to 10 minutes each morning thinking about your plans for the day in English. Simple sentences like, "I am going to study," "I will eat breakfast," "I need to call my friend."
And during the day, try to name objects around you in English or describe your actions silently. Like, "I am drinking tea," "I am opening my notebook." Small exercises like this train your brain naturally.
Another tip is to imagine short conversations for a few minutes each evening. Pretend you are talking to a friend or ordering food. This strengthens your speaking without needing a partner.
Exactly. And if you want, you can even speak out loud for a couple of minutes while walking or doing chores. The goal is to make thinking and speaking in English part of your daily life.
Yes, Julia. The more consistent you are, the faster your brain will adapt, and your English will start to flow naturally.
And in the next segment, we'll share a real-life motivation story to inspire our listeners to keep practicing every day.
All right, Julia. Now let's give our listeners a little motivation. I want to share a real-life success story of someone who improved their English just by thinking in English every day.
Oh, I love stories like that, Jason. Tell us more.
Sure. There's a learner named Sarah. She used to struggle with speaking because she always translated in her mind. But she started a simple habit. Every day, she spent 10 minutes imagining conversations, describing her day, and using phrases in English.
Wow, and what happened?
Within a few months, Sarah noticed she could speak faster and more confidently. She no longer paused to translate, and speaking English felt much more natural. She even started chatting with native speakers without fear.
That's so inspiring. It really shows that small, consistent practice can lead to big results.
Exactly, Julia. And for our listeners, remember, you don't need to speak perfectly. Just start thinking in English and practicing a little every day, and your fluency will improve steadily.
Yes, small steps every day lead to big improvements over time.
All right, Julia. Before we end today's episode, let's do a quick recap of what we learned about thinking in English to improve speaking.
Yes, Jason. First, we talked about why translating in our mind slows us down and how thinking directly in English can make speaking faster and more natural.
Then we discussed the benefits, like improving fluency, confidence, and vocabulary. We also shared practical tips. Start small with daily activities, use common phrases, imagine conversations, and speak out loud.
Exactly. And don't forget to avoid translating word by word and make thinking in English a daily habit. Even a few minutes every day can bring amazing results.
So listeners, here's your final tip. Start today. Pick one activity. Describe your morning, imagine a conversation, or speak out loud. And practice consistently.
And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the English Learning Podcast. Share your progress with us, and we'll celebrate your journey to fluent English together.
Yes, keep thinking in English, keep speaking, and remember, small daily steps lead to big improvements. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.